Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So welcome everybody to our second and last session on mentorship in Krishna consciousness. May I ask you to move a little forward? Everybody moves a little forward so I can see you better. Even you there in the back. Come on, move a little forward. Why hiding in the back? Let's be a little personal. Yes, you can even come more forward. Just sit here. Come on. Come. Just come forward. Please. I'm a personalist. Oh, she doesn't know English. Well, do you understand the class? Or do you need translation? Oh, okay. Anyway, so yesterday we were introducing the topic of mentorship, mainly illustrating from various angles how important it is that we have a counselor and that eventually we become one to others. Actually, who of you was not here yesterday? Not such, no need for you to. Okay. All right. So let us just refresh our memory. Yesterday, we were looking at the different cultures, materialistic culture, spiritual culture. In materialistic culture, people ignore each other when striving for their goals, and they step on each other's heads. There's envy, there's competition. That's usually what's happening in the material world. Whereas in spiritual relationships, they're very different. There people accept dependence on others who have similar goals and tastes. And we were looking at all different aspects, why it is so important to have a counselor. One of them being that as long as we have material desires and attachments, we can't objectively assess ourselves. And we need somebody who helps us to balance our spiritual practice. And if we don't have that, then very easily we can go off the track. And we were quickly remembering the examples, the example of Bharat in the Bhagavatam. His problem was that he didn't have a counselor, somebody who could, pull him back there from the deer and say, it's enough now, go back to your sadhana. He was all alone. So even on that level of bhava, we do need, and we not only need, but we should want to serve under somebody. That's the mood in the spiritual world. So if we want to go there one day, we have to develop the mood. And then we were also, what else were we saying? Let me quickly look at my materials. Well, we were also saying that as we carry a lot of responsibilities, we can easily be thrown off balance, right? So that's why it is natural to accept guidance from somebody who is already more experienced and carrying more responsibilities. And we were saying also that life is full of challenges, and there's always somebody who has already more experience meeting the same challenge. So actually, it is only common sense that we should ask for guidance before we make a decision. We can save ourselves so many miseries and troubles if we would just be humble enough to ask for guidance before we make decisions. And that is actually the blessings of a Vaishnava. If we can capture the interest of a devotee in our spiritual growth and development, that's what it means to get the mercy and the blessings of a Vaishnava. Yes, and we were also saying that this loving exchange, Guyam Akyati Prichyati, in Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami gives us the 6 loving exchanges. So one of them is to reveal one's mind in confidence and to speak confidentially. So, and this is exactly this loving exchange of accepting shelter with a more experienced person, and this more experienced person is teaching us, guiding us, and making sure that our devotional life is well balanced. Yes, so, and before we will turn to the actual topic of today, I do want to add one more little good reason why we need to have a mentor. So let us remember how important it is to have a selfless mood of service. Krishna says, Sadhidam Kirtiyantamam Yatanta Shadritavata, always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination. This is actually a very nice key, this endeavoring with great determination, which describes the mood of service we should have, that we really endeavor, we should really serve with heart and soul. 95% energy, not 5%. And if we really give ourselves in service, that attracts Krishna's merciful glance upon us. Yes. So now the key is that we can only really serve with heart and soul if we feel sheltered. If we don't feel sheltered, then we will hold back, right? Because giving our heart and soul in service, we actually put ourselves in a vulnerable position. Somebody can somehow take advantage of us. So in order to be able to give ourselves in service, we need to be sheltered. We need to have this one person in our life who really has no other interest except our spiritual development, even no managerial interest. This is, of course, a bigger topic, which we don't really have time to go deeper into it. But let us put it this way. As I mentioned yesterday, I was in this devotee care committee for quite a few years. And actually, the essence of devotee care is that we have to become more people-focused and not just project-focused. Yes, very easily in Krishna consciousness, we become too project-focused, just thinking, what does the project need? And we forget that a project is built of people. That we sometimes forget. And people have needs. And if we actually fulfill the needs of the people, then the project will flourish. But if we only think, what does the project need, then easily people feel burned out, as we say in ISKCON language. That we are, always pushed for service, and we feel, oh, actually nobody is really interested in my spiritual growth and development. Yes. So, and we can't blame the managers for this, because the managers, they do their duty, they have to get the ends met, and so on. Then naturally they wear the managerial glasses, as we can say. So it is up to us to understand that we need a counselor who has not primary a managerial interest in us, but who has, the interest in helping us to grow and develop. So it doesn't mean he cannot be a manager, it doesn't mean that, but he should primarily focus on our spiritual needs. So, and if we are not sheltered, then we cannot really serve with heart and soul. And as a result, Krishna will not, he will not be attracted by that minimal service mood. And therefore, we don't get realizations. Krishna doesn't show himself more tangibly to us. We don't get a taste in Krishna consciousness. And we're just on a lower level of devotional life. It's almost like a vicious circle, that because we are not sheltered, we are not serving with heart and soul, and therefore we don't get a taste and realizations, and therefore we cannot really give ourselves in service, and therefore nothing much happens in our devotional life, and we are like hovering on a lower level of Krishna consciousness there, and then devotional life becomes boring and tasteless, and we just do some minimal service. Like very often we feel, we don't have enough devotees, but actually we do have so many devotees, but we have to nourish them more and help them to actually grow and develop and inspire them and care for them. And then they will serve with heart and soul, So I'm traveling all over the planet. So I see this in so many temples. There are so many devotees there, but everybody only serves with 5% endeavor. Or maybe a handful give more than 5%, So rather than thinking, we need more devotees, we should actually, nourish and inspire those we have. Prabhupada gave this famous instruction in one letter that was already in 72, if I remember correctly. Prabhupada was saying, we should not be so concerned in spreading more and more, but we should boil the milk. You heard that instruction, boiling the milk? Prabhupada means that we should ongoingly train and nourish those devotees we have and bring them on higher levels of devotional life, rather than being so overly concerned with spreading, And Prabhupada wrote several letters like that, saying, so now boil the milk, so that the devotees become sweeter and deeper, and not just spreading. So that's another good reason why this mentorship is so important, that we have a counselor, so we feel sheltered. And if we feel sheltered, then we can give ourselves with heart and soul, because we know there is one person we can always turn to when we feel we are getting a little overburdened here, because naturally those devotees who serve with heart and soul, they're given more and more service. And then sometimes it's too much. And sometimes they actually need a bit of a break. And maybe you should go to Mayapur for a month or something to recharge and get educated. But, very often the mood is, no, we need our people. He cannot go, And then, but if we have a counselor, then we can turn to that person and say, Prabhu, I just feel I need a bit of a break. I want to go here and there and learn this and that and educate myself a bit further and do a few courses and so, and then the counselor and the managers, they discuss how to help this devotee to grow and develop himself. Yes. So that is another good reason why this mentorship is so important. Because if we don't have that, then very easily, we find ourselves in this vicious circle that we don't serve with heart and soul, we hold back, and therefore our devotional life is a bit boring. Or we just externally, we want too much. That's the other, extreme, that people, they become like, in English we call it workaholics, that we become like a workaholic, just, work, run. And we don't have time to introspect and really reflect and take some time out, attend a holy name retreat or whatever is needed to recharge a little bit, So yeah, these extremes are there, that people either become workaholics and they just externally go through the motions and run. But actually we should transform. We don't want to just run. But yeah, we should transform our tastes, our likes, our dislikes, our habits, our worldviews, our patterns of behaviors, ultimately our heart. So bhakti can grow there. Okay, so maybe let me see if there is any questions just about what we discussed yesterday and today, because today's topic is rather a different topic. So is there anything before we start the new topic? Yes, Cutie. He's running in a different direction.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. My question from the yesterday's session was, you told that we have to take a shelter. We should take shelter so that the problems in the life or future life, any life, we can look onto and we get a solution for that problem. My question here is, how to decide the person is a senior or junior? Is it age-wise or from the Shastra, like Uttam Adhikari, we have to go through the Shastra and judge a person?
Well, I mean, today we want to discuss the qualities a person has to serve as a mentor or counselor. So that gives us already a good idea who is qualified. But just briefly to touch upon your question, who is equal, senior, junior, the actual criteria is one's Krishna consciousness, one's power to uplift others. But since that is not so easily, recognizable, that's why we accept external criteria. We have to start somewhere. So he who has been initiated longer than we are, that's a criteria initiation. When did we get first initiation? When did we get second initiation? But actually these criteria don't say that much, because we may be initiated 30 years ago, but if we didn't practice very seriously, so it doesn't really say much. But we have to start somewhere. And then even the mere age of a person, is a criteria. Who is senior, just out of life experience. We consider a person senior if he's 20 or 30 years older than we are. Then also managerial position is considered senior. The renounced ashram is considered senior, you know, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives another pretty unusual criteria. He says, he who is bigger in body is considered superior. Yes. So in any case, but the ultimate criteria is one's Krishna consciousness, but this cannot so easily be measured, you know, like that. You had another question, and then we'll continue with our today's topic.
I want to know, what does it mean to feel shelter?
Well, we were discussing yesterday, you know, the aspects of a sheltering relationship, that there's a senior, more experienced, well-wishing friend who has no other interest except our spiritual development, that we feel we can open our heart to that person, we share our innermost struggles and fears, and we want to be corrected by this person. You know, these are all aspects of being sheltered if we have such a person in our life. And that there should be some internal dependence, meaning that we don't want to make any life-changing decisions without asking their opinion. But of course, this doesn't mean that with every little daily thing we, you know, write to this person or something, you know, so we have to have a little bit of intelligence to see what are really important decisions that really we should get some opinion on, some guidance, and which are little daily details which we have to learn to work out ourselves, you know. So that's basically what it means to take shelter, you know, that we want to get that person's, blessings and not attention, no, not attention, but guidance. And that can also be received by hearing from that person. You know, it doesn't always have to be personal and so on. Okay, so let us move on to our topic of today. So we want to discuss the qualities required to be able to give shelter, to serve as a mentor. So let's be clear, why is this topic important to us? Why is it? There's two good reasons why it is really important that we know the qualities a person has to have in order to give shelter. What are these two good reasons? Huh? No, we're not completely depending on them. Anyway, what are the two reasons why it is important to understand the qualities a mentor has to have? To select the right mentor. And the second one? Hang on. Well, that's the same reason. So, and what's the second one? That's the same reason. You're just repeating the same reason. So we choose the right mentor. So what's the second reason? Come on. So we know what to cultivate, that we can become a mentor one day, right? It's so simple. You know? Yes. So the first very basic qualification a mentor has to have is that he also has a mentor, or she. So we have to be sheltered ourselves in order to be able to give shelter to others, right? We often tend to forget this. And we just, we may be 30 years in Krishna consciousness and we think, oh, I know, what to do, and I don't need this. I have Prabhupada. I have my guru. But yeah, Prabhupada can't come and pull our ear, So we do need to also have a mentor and be sheltered. We can only give something to others that we have ourselves, right? So let us quickly understand what can happen if our mentor doesn't have a mentor. For example, we can see that our mentor maybe he's going a little off track. Maybe, some of his behavior or her behavior is not proper. So if that person doesn't have a mentor, we don't have anybody to go to, right? And also as a mentor, we may need some guidance how to serve as a mentor, right? Yes. And if our mentor doesn't have a mentor, or if we serve as a mentor and we don't have one, then easily our spiritual practice can become imbalanced and it can lead to fall down, right? Again, Bharat Maharaj was in that situation that he wanted to reach out to this deer, so he wanted to give shelter to the deer, but he wasn't sheltered himself, and therefore he fell down, right? Yeah. So yes, that's the foremost condition to serve as a mentor, that we have to have a counselor ourselves. We have to be sheltered, right? So now I have a whole list of qualifications here in front of me, and it's actually not that I composed this list. I got this list of His Holiness Niranjana Swami's book. He has a book, Taking Care of Krishna's Devotees, where he got this list, or he wrote this list there. And I think he actually got it of His Holiness Rana Swami. So it is coming in the parampara of devotee care and mentorship. And I may have added or adjusted a few little things, but the basic list is from Niranjana Swami and Rana Swami. So the first qualification is that a counselor should have a nice understanding of the philosophy and practice of Krishna consciousness. So nice understanding does not mean that he has to be a class giver even. He doesn't have to be a pundit and doesn't have to be learned or something, but he or she, I'm just using he, meaning the person, that includes also women. So it simply means the person should have a good understanding of the philosophy and the practice. That's enough. You don't have to be a learned pundit. And the next one is a very vaguely expressed one. And I took the wording exactly from this book I was referring to. A counselor should have been active within ISKCON for a reasonable length of time, which actually doesn't say anything, right? Reasonable length of time. There can be, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. What is a reasonable length of time? Doesn't say anything. And I think it is purposefully put like this because you can't put a certain number of years on it. It has to be seen in the individual situation, right? So that's why it is expressed in such a stretchable way, reasonable length of time. So it has to be looked at from person to person, you know? And a mentor should be able to give balanced advice according to time, place, and circumstance. So that's pretty important because it's all about being balanced in Krishna consciousness. We have to find the right balance between all the different aspects, you know, our family life with sadhana. It all has to be in balance. Very easily we are imbalanced. We neglect our family duties, thinking our service is everything, you know, or we are only in the family and we don't ever come to the temple, you know, so it's all a question of balance, you know. So, and in order to give balanced advice, what does the mentor have to be? Yeah, mentor has to be balanced himself. Otherwise, how can he give balanced advice, right? Yes. And also it is helpful if a mentor actually has some practical experience in all the different fields of service. Like especially in the early days, usually, you know, I was 4 years in the Brahmachari ashram in Sydney when I joined. So in the early days, we were trained in all fields of service systematically. You know, when we come to Krishna consciousness, we do simple services. So then when we have first initiation, second initiation, we are trained on the altar. We also have been out on the street distributing books. We have been in the kitchen cooking the Raj Bhog offering or the Sunday feast. So we should have some experience in all the different fields of services. And then, of course, it is much easier to give some advice because we know what devotees face when they do all these different services, right? Yes. So the next one is a pretty compact one. Should not have the tendencies for taking extreme and controversial positions on issues. Should not be a fundamentalist with Kanishta mentality. In other words, a person should not be fanatic in any way, which actually means he is not balanced. A person who is fanatic has often tendencies to extremes, and therefore there's a lack of balance there, right? Actually, I once came across a nice definition of what fanaticism means. So when our enthusiasm is not guided by a higher intelligence than our own, then we easily become fanatics. So that means, you know, in our conditioned stage, our enthusiasm is not pure. It's mixed with a good portion of passion, false ego, oh my God, ambitiousness, right? So if our enthusiasm is not guided by a higher intelligence than our own, meaning by a counselor, then very easily we become fanatics. Fanaticism is very much linked with a false ego, actually. You know, any good thing in Krishna consciousness, the false ego can take advantage of that to bring attention to oneself. Let's say book distribution. It's a very important thing in Prabhupada's mission. But if we become fanatics, then there is this mood behind it. Book distribution is the most important thing. And I'm the only one who recognizes it. And therefore, I am so important because book distribution is so important, right? And then we use such an element like book distribution to glorify ourselves. Look at me, I know that it is so important, and anybody who is not on the street for 8 hours a day distributing Prabhupada's books, he is not even a devotee. And look at me, I'm doing it, and that's why I'm the only proper devotee here, you know? So that's what's behind it when we become fanatics. It's actually the false ego wanting to gratify their own importance there and bring glory to oneself rather than to Krishna and Prabhupada. You know? Also in that category actually falls that a mentor should not have the tendency to canvass for his own guru. Yes, sometimes we see this. Again, it's a false ego thing, you know? Of course, we all feel our guru is very special for us because he saves us from material existence, but it's a very private and personal thing. But now if the false ego comes in, then, you know, false ego makes us think, my guru is so special, and because he is my guru, that's why I am so special. False ego, so tricky. Yes, it can spoil and contaminate any good thing. Yes. Yeah, so this canvassing for one's own guru, this is already actually a disqualification to be a mentor. Yes, yes. Because we are all part of Prabhupada's family, so no need to try and, you know, bring people there in my camp. I'm your Shiksha Guru, and that's why you have to accept my Diksha Guru. And oh my God, you know, this is not how a mentor should encourage people, you know. Yes. Also, I mean, very clear that people who have this tendency for taking extreme and controversial positions on issues, they usually attract people who also have that tendency. And then you have some separate, you know, parampara there of fanatics. So we don't want that, you know, this is not very helpful, you know. So then the next one is, should be mature and sober. So yes, as a mentor, we should be, you know, experienced, mature, sober, serious, steady, not up and down, one day super enthusiastic, then, oh, sorry, I have lost all my inspiration. So, but no, we should be sober and mature and steady, you know? Yes. So now the next one is even more compact. A mentor should demonstrate a good standard of sadhana, etiquette, behavior, and commitment to serving the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So a mentor should demonstrate a good standard of sadhana. Why is this so important? Why is a good standard of sadhana important for a mentor?
It shows that he's balanced.
It shows that he is balanced. Yes. What else? Focused. And also, let's remember the sadhana is the source of our spiritual strength. So if a mentor has good sadhana, then he sees things more with spiritual vision, and he will be able to give balanced advice, right? He will not get so easily confused or something. Yes. And also because he's teaching by example, you know? So actually, even in preaching, Our main preaching is by our personal example, not just the words. You know, our actions speak louder than our words. So if we demonstrate a good standard of sadhana, then that is something which will inspire others to follow, right? So, and in one sense, our sadhana should also be, as far as possible, public. You know, if a person never attends anything, no part of the morning program ever, even on the weekends, never attends any classes, he only comes when he speaks, you know, so then, you know, people may be doubtful. Is he actually chanting 16 rounds? We never see him with a bead bag, you know. So as far as possible, the sadhana should be public. It's not enough to say, oh, I do this all at home. I listen over internet at home. I listen to the lectures of my guru and Prabhupada at home. No. We have to set the example that actually this is the foundation to our relationships within a community, that we hear from each other and we inquire from each other, you know, and even if maybe the classes are not always so super interesting or something, but still we should set the example that we come to the temple and we hear in the association of devotees, right? Very important. And additionally, we can hear at home, you know, over the internet from our guru or something. But yeah, the sadhana should be public. And I know, for example, in Mumbai and Chowpatty, where they have quite a well-established structure for mentorship, there the mentors, their home is open every morning. You know, you can come between 5 and 7 and you can chant together your rounds with your mentor, you know, because Mumbai, big city, so people don't have the time to go to the temple and have their sadhana public. But their home is public, the doors are open. They invite their mentees, come and chant with me, you know, or with us, you know, or maybe over the phone or something. But then if you do it over Zoom, you better switch on your video, your camera, you know, because sometimes people are in name only there. And, you know, I have come across situations where I stayed with one senior devotee, not here in Bangalore, but I stayed with a senior devotee in his house, and he said, oh, sorry, I quickly have to log on internet there on the Bhagavatam class, so I'm there, you know. But then we had our discussions, and he was not there, you know. So, yeah. Demonstrate a good standard of sadhana. Now, etiquette in behavior, social conduct. We have to be also exemplary, not only in sadhana, but etiquette and behavior. So, of course, that's a whole different, separate topic almost, but especially in regards to being exemplary in etiquette is in regards to behavior with the other gender. We have to be very exemplary there. We can't be too loose and frivolous and you know, but we have to really set a good example in that, because very easily, if we don't keep the proper etiquette with the other gender, then so many problems come in, you know. So that's a very important part of Vaishnava etiquette. And also how we behave with seniors, with children. You know, that's all we have to have exemplary behavior. Right? As we said, our actions speak louder than our words. And also exemplary commitment to serving the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So there has to be some integrity there to ISKCON, you know? Prabhupada was saying, ISKCON is my body. And Prabhupada himself is the soul of that body, you know? So, and Prabhupada also warned us, whatever you do, never leave ISKCON, you know? So, yeah, there has to be this deep commitment that Prabhupada is the one who saved us. And we want to do everything to make his mission successful and more nicer, you know? Yeah, so that integrity to ISKCON has to be there, Prabhupada's mission, and not just, going here, there, some Radha Kund Babaji here, this and that. You know, no need. Just let's stick to Prabhupada, you know, that mood should be there. You know. Now the next one is a really important one. A mentor should be willing to extend himself to help others and have the spirit of sacrifice, should be compassionate and have a genuine and selfless concern for the welfare of devotees. Yes. So being a mentor is not a service for Saturday afternoon, 3 to 5 or something, you know? You actually have to have that willingness to sacrifice yourself, to be there for people, to be available, right? So yesterday the question came up, what to do if we have the feeling our mentor is not available, has no time. So, yeah, if a mentor gives this mood to us that